Blessings, everybody. My name is Kepra. This is Seekers University. I thank each and every one of you guys for being present with us here on this journey. The whole goal of this online school, mystery school, is to bring wisdom that is designed to enable you to consciously interact with the acceleration of your own evolution. I just want to impart the wisdom that'll allow you to go from being maybe, I view evolution in 4 different strains where there's, destructive, neutral, and then there's creative. And the 4th strain would be like, there's destructive where you're unconsciously destructive, and then there's like consciously destructive where there's an evil involved because, there's intelligence that has been added to the desire to fulfill one's senses and the pleasure-seeking nature. Whereas if ignorance is combined with pleasure-seeking and the need to satisfy the senses, well, that's just more animalistic. So we have, like an animal, a devil, an angel, and a divine being. And this was taught in ancient Kemet. It was given different names. They definitely didn't refer to it in that terminology. They referred to it as, the Sahu man, the Satanist. That was actually the word has kept for millennia. It was a god named Set that we get the whole concept of Satanism or Satanism from. And so you have, the Sahu, which is just dominated by its lower beastly nature, the Setian, the satanic man, which is looking for world domination and seeking to use their wisdom over others to dominate others. Then you have those who have cultivated a moral, ethical understanding of responsibility. And for them, life is about serving one's fellow man, honoring the oneness and the interdependence that we all share. But then there's a higher level, highest level, which we refer to as like somebody being one with the Creator. We could refer to it as God consciousness. Another way to look at these layers of evolution is where your conscious mind is dominating at the bottom, or maybe subconscious mind dominating at the bottom, then conscious mind dominating, and then subconscious and conscious mind, they're operated, they're not really in harmony, they're out of sync, they just doing what they do. Then you have a layer above where super consciousness is entering into the picture. Then you really activating and utilizing super consciousness effectively by implementing righteousness and morality into your expression, and now you call that Christ consciousness. And then above that, when you've attuned through your actions and your words and your thoughts and your beliefs, now you're attuned with the divine, and we call it God consciousness or cosmic consciousness. So there's multiple different cultures that describe these things, and some use different languages, but ultimately there's 4 identifications of how you classify how a human being is vibrating, where they're vibrating at, what is their evolutionary scale that they're on. And I want to give you the wisdom that will allow you to go from being a destructive, regular conscious mind kind of individual to God consciousness, operating in your divinity, filled with morality, operating in righteousness, and recognizing that you have the power to manifest and materialize a life that you enjoy. So that's a form of transformation, right? And I want you to go from where you're currently at, right, to being empowered to recognize that you can create whatever you imagine. There is no limit to your imagination. You were made in the image of a divine creator. You do not actually need to see something. There's this narrative that we need representation, that we need to see something outside of ourselves to prove to ourselves that it's possible before we can just go out and do it. And I want you to know, I want you to be equipped with the wisdom that allow you to know that your imagination is infinite. You can produce whatever picture, you can produce whatever thought, you can empower it with your faith, you can empower it with your emotion. And as you get emotionally involved with an idea, you can materialize and manifest anything that you have first seen up here. And we want what we're seeing up here to be in alignment with righteousness and morality. We want to understand that life has a natural order, that there are cause and effect relationships that have been observed throughout millennia, and we understand by writing down these observations of cause and effect relationships that there are consequences to our actions. And by looking at this particular consequences, marking it down, what has been developed is what humanity is referred to as divine law, or in some cases, just the laws of the cosmos. And it's sometimes purported as like these rules that you have to follow, and if you don't follow, you'll be punished, and if you do follow, you'll be rewarded. But I like shifting and changing that narrative to what it is more in reality through God's perspective, which is more guidelines that help you to avoid negative consequences in your life. When you are equipped with the wisdom and the awareness of the guidelines, right, of how to produce a high quality life, when you understand that, you know, success is not simply about just having money and fame, but that wealth and health are important things. But then you have your relationships, and you have your internal, do you forgive yourself? Do you accept yourself? Do you love yourself? Are you at peace with life? Do you feel secure? Are you living in your purpose? These are the things that start to determine one's quality of life. And so we want to begin to understand our purpose, to understand what it is that we're creating with our life. Are we creating a better quality of life? And is what we're creating in harmony with the natural order? And so that, in a nutshell, is the transformation that this mystery school is designed to give you, to cause you. My experience is vast, to be real. So, I mean, where would I start per se? I would just say, in the shortest form, when I was a child, 4 years old, I started spontaneously having out-of-body experiences, and I had an interdimensional mentor that had a portal that he could open and pull me through and take me to different dimensions. And anytime I would go there, I could be there for years, come back, and only a day has passed in my body, in like this body. And so by the time I was 9 years old in this body, I had already spent 23 years in another dimension, and I carried that information with me. With that information, what I began to attract into my life was just, you know, high-level priests, rabbis, imams, pastors, spiritual leaders, spiritual teachers, shamans, masons, people that are in, you know, different secret orders, secret societies, certain things I don't necessarily condone, but I've just experienced kind of the full gamut of spiritual information. As a practitioner, I got into being a yoga teacher from a young age. About the age of 19, I started teaching yoga on a regular basis. My yoga teaching evolved into breath work, then it evolved into meditation. Then as I'm teaching and sharing meditation, I met masters of meditation. I got brought into an Atma Kriya yogic school, then took on the teacher Paramahansa Yogananda and started studying the lineage of Kriya Yoga. I then became administered as a royal priest. My title is His Holiness with the United Monarchy. I study in the Temple of Supreme Light with a community of brothers who have just very high level sacred knowledge that we share amongst one another. And as a day-to-day experience, I am a father of two. I am a husband. My biggest spiritual accomplishments, in my personal opinion, has been able to produce a family, to keep them together, and in the midst of that, detach myself from the need to have that family, from the need to have any type of perspective that the world has of me. Disassociation from status and ego and all of these things that are typically controlling people. I find that the greatest levels of freedom that I experience are through overcoming my attachments to people, things, and emotions. And by freeing myself and regaining personal agency, autonomy, intention, I just have found that self-mastery seems to be the highest form of wealth that there is on this planet. When you can get yourself to do what you say you're going to do, when you can get yourself to think the way that you have designed and desired yourself to think, when you can get yourself to speak and articulate and bring messages to the public with ease, you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain level of self-mastery that I've come to fall in love with that is beyond what any human or any physical thing can give me. And it's brought me to this space where meditation, prayer, and my personal relationship with God are genuinely the most important things to me. And that's what I would like to impart on everybody here. So this has been a bit of a long message, and I want to first and foremost thank you for your time. I'll probably be coming on and just giving, quick daily updates. We will be doing a Zoom call so we can be live together to just get to know each other. It'll just simply be an open discussion where we will figure out together what we want the flow of this community to be. This first month is really me just getting to know you guys, building a connection, and that's why for the first 50 people that join, this is absolutely free, lifetime. If you go to the classroom section, you will see the self-masterclass, which was a masterclass that I've already pre-recorded. That is unbelievable. It was an 8-day masterclass, so it's basically a full-on course. What we'll be sharing here, we will be doing another live masterclass with better cameras, better mics, and way better wisdom, way more organized. And I'll be regularly bringing on some of my brothers, some of my sisters, some of my teachers, some of my shamans, and as well as just people who I can connect with my platform online, and try to bring them in. So that's what this experience is. I'm hoping that you're just as excited as I am. I'm super excited to figure out that perfect flow that's going to allow us to really grow and build together. Since you're still here, the gift that you get for sticking with me throughout this whole thing, the thing that I want to share, the practical value that I want to share that'll make this worth the time that you've spent, this time investment that I'm so grateful for. We're going to identify our spiritual I. Now, in meditation, it is a requirement to experience super consciousness, which as you experience super consciousness, you will naturally begin to evolve without having to do anything. Okay, so this is one of the easiest ways that you can begin to raise your vibration. Easiest way, you have access to it at all times. Now, if for whatever reason you do not have two hands, if for whatever reason you do not have a tongue, you may not be able to do this technique that I'm about to share with you. But if you have all of your limbs and you have your tongue, thank God, because not everybody does. And if you do not, follow along, use what you have, see if you can feel these subtle feelings that I'm about to share with you. And if you can follow along, that is about the best that I could offer you, because I have no experience missing a limb or missing a tongue, and I pray that I never do. To be honest, I'm very, very grateful to God for my body, for this vehicle that gets me through life. All right, without a further ado, this is very, very simple. We're gonna identify our spiritual I. All you do is you take the thumb and the pointer finger, you put them together, and then you're gonna take your tongue and you're gonna push your tongue on the back of your bottom row of teeth. And you don't have to press. There doesn't need to be any pressure. It's just very light, gentle, simple. And practice putting your fingers, doing all three of them at the same time, the tongue and the fingers, both hands, right? And separating. And if you're doing it, when you put your fingers together, you should notice it's very subtle. So you may have to do this, you know, the coming off and then coming back together a few times before you begin to feel it, because it's very subtle, but you do feel it. And if you can pay attention, be present, be still, you will feel it. Maybe even close your eyes. You'll feel just the subtlest, slightest pressure right here. And when you let go, you should feel the pressure disperse. It relaxes itself. So it either relaxes or it forms a form of tension. Now, where that tension is, that is the direct location of your spiritual eye. Okay? So I'm gonna do it. Okay, so I've identified it. I'm gonna open up my eyes so you can see. And then what I'm gonna do with my physical eyes is I'm gonna identify that point. Okay, and then I'm gonna look up at it. All right? I'm gonna hold my tongue and my fingers as I look up at that point, and I'm gonna close my eyes. And the funny thing is that our eyes, if we have never practiced that before, then our eyes can be a little unstrong. Weak, that's the right word. Our eyes can be a little weak and might be lacking an ability to just hold their gaze up like that. So just doing that, we're gonna start there because it's a fundamental, foundational element to meditation. Meditation is a fundamental element to experiencing your oneness with the all. If I can get everybody here to experience oneness with all, where their physical sensations in their body completely melt away and they can feel their own presence in the breeze, when they can feel the movement of celestial bodies as the movement of their own body, when you can become one with all things, it's going to break down this perception that when somebody cuts you off in traffic that you should now be mad. It's like, oh man, I cut myself off in traffic. You know, your perception of the divine is going to change. When people say that God is omnipresent, that's going to mean something totally different to you, because and then that begins to shift and change how we begin to perceive ourselves, totally radically shifting our identity, causing what they refer to as self-realization. And once you realize yourself and you know yourself as being connected to all things and recognizing that all things are genuinely connected to God, it's going to empower you, it's going to humble you, it's going to stir a great deep well of compassion and love inside of you. But even more so, it's going to be a foundation, a great foundation. The experience of self-realization is a great foundation for breaking through so many different emotional layers of fears, anxieties, guilts, shames, blames, and all of these mucks that keep us, that distort our will. They influence our will. The emotions that you are having, imagine this. Emotion is energy in motion. Imagine that your consciousness is a channel. And the word channel means river. So imagine that your consciousness is a stream, it's a river, and it's flowing. And it could be mucky, yucky water, or it could be pure water. It could be still, and the information that's going through that channel could reach its audience, reach its intended audience, and get its intended message across very easily. Or it could be rapid, rocky, crazy, chaotic waters, and it still serves an amazing purpose, right? But that's what emotion is. Emotion is the thing that's vibrating the waters, making them chaotic, and your intended like will and desire may not be what gets across to the audience when you're communicating, when you're thinking, when you're sharing ideas, when you're sharing business ideas, when you're trying to partner with others, when you're trying to cooperate, when you're doing anything with getting what's internal and trying to materialize it or bring it external, when you're seeking to manifest. If the emotions are not right, if you are poisoning yourself with alcohol, drugs, like sugars, you know, social media, all these different, you know, blue light, radiation, all these different things that are constantly surrounding all of us, they poison the waters. And then so we have these chaotic, poisoned waters, you know, and it's no wonder why we're not materializing and manifesting the lives that we want. So we want to purify our channel. We want to calm our channel, and in our serenity, in that serene divine light that we'll bathe in, that is the foundation, that self-realization that just calms it all down. It allows us to see very clearly the actual emotional static, and we can start to bring them into some form of calm. And then when we can start to then look inward and identify where we are addicted to poisons. Imagine this. I have a brother named Trayvon Allworthy, good brother. He was telling me a story about how, you know, we were in his backyard and he had a bunch of ants, a lot of ant piles all over his backyard. And he was saying that he had this poison that he was giving the ants, and that the poison doesn't kill the ants immediately, that it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the ants to actually die from the poison, and he just feeds them every day. And he would talk about how the ants would come get the poison, they take it back into the house, and they'd be like, yo, my guy, yo, you gotta try this out, man. This thing is great. It tastes delicious. It's like sugar. This thing is wonderful. And his friend is like, yo, but what if, like, we don't even know what it is? Like, what if it kills us? And he's eating it. He's like, bro, it ain't killed me yet. And meanwhile, my brother Trayvon is like, no, I have every intention of killing every single ant in this backyard. And I'm just gonna sweep these ant piles away. And they just won't even exist anymore. Their whole bloodline will just be wiped off the face of the earth. And he's a good Christian man. He was bringing a parallel between what he was doing and what God does when God presents or allows and enables certain poisons to exist for his children. Because when we can get beyond the emotional layers of, you know, the torrential chaos of our own minds, and we could see clearly, and we could begin to really look at what we're really doing. Even caffeine, there's so many different substances that most of us regularly put into our body. There's so many different activities, toxic people that we're hanging around, toxic environments that we're hanging around, negative limiting beliefs that are stopping us from being able to produce the lives that we really want to live. There's all of these things that are poisons. We want to, like, it's so funny, because the water is always running, the water is always flowing, it's always flowing, it's always flowing, it's always flowing. You can look at meditation as like it's cleansing. Meditation cleanses, prayer cleanses, fasting cleanses. But no matter how much you cleanse, if you continuously pour more poison back into your river, back into your channel, it's always going to be poisoned, right? So the goal here is definitely to master meditation, master prayer, master fasting, get the wisdom that we need to move through our emotions and become a pure, unpoisoned, and serene channel. And I'm here on that journey with you guys. I'm not claiming to be a perfect, pure, serene channel all the time myself. And that's why I'm actually grateful to be practicing with you guys. I want to be able to bring the wisdom, but also pair us with one another to have accountability partners, to have this community to serve as a form of accountability, checks and balances, you know, rewards and celebrations that can inspire us into right action to make this process of transformation as easy as possible on not only you guys, but also on myself. So I thank you for all of your time, for being here. Remember, 2 fingers together, tongue on the back of the teeth. Feel it, feel the pressure, look up at that, and just know that you're tuning in with your spiritual eye. And that's a fundamental to genuine meditation. Peace and love.